Keshav, it's another tough day on what's been a pretty tough tour. What's the belief like in the team, and do you believe you can bat for the best part of 3 days that it might be to save the game?
Yeah, it has been a really tough tour, to say the least. But yeah, I think the batters, within the time on the field, they're just chatting about plans and how they're going to come about it. I think they can take a lead. Well, we spoke about taking a lead from how Usman and Steve Smith played today. And just in terms of, leaving well and presenting, good scoring opportunities within the areas that the wicket dictates that they can play in.
Keshav, I'm interested in your opinion. Both teams have picked two spinners. How have you assessed the pitch, and how have you found, is there a lot of spin, is there a lot of turn, drift?
Yeah, I think at the start of the test match, we expected the wicket to turn a lot more than it has, but I think also the weather's played a bit of a factor in terms of just getting the wicket a little bit wet. But you don't know what the weather forecast has for the next 3 days, but I do presume it will start to turn if it does get a bit sunny from there on.
I guess, well, speaking of the weather, and it's not something that you can control or even predict so well, but with the forecast and even the way that the day finished today, is that sort of making this a bit of a weird test as far as what both teams are going to do, like even with Australia at this point in time?
Yeah, it's obviously a difficult one because weather is uncontrollable. But yeah, I think the disruption of play is something that's very weird. You're constantly on off the field because of the weather or the bad light. So it's a hard one to gauge. And yeah, look, I think in the position we're in, the more time that's taken out the game is probably better in our favour, to be fair. But also it puts Australia in a position where they have to make a play from there on in.
Keshav, you spoke about it being a difficult tour. Over the years, you have a reputation of being able to put pressure or build pressure on batters across all conditions. You've done it here before. So why hasn't it gone your way this time? Have they played you differently?
Yeah, I was actually sat last night thinking about the same thing. Yeah, I don't think I've changed too much. Look, I've been working really hard. Sometimes you have ebbs and flows in your career, and I think it's probably one of those that are happening right now. Yeah, that's all I can allude it to, basically. It's not about preparation or lack of work. Maybe the body's a bit tired, I don't know. I can only tell you that if I was a machine and you could plug me in to see how low my batteries are. But I think it's not from a lack of effort. I think it's more just probably ebbs and flows of someone's career and the way it goes.
So so when you did get the wicket, was it just relief or almost like bemusement, like, I can't believe it's take the wicket?
Yeah, I think it was a sigh of relief more than anything else. I think, everyone wants wickets when you're a bowler. It's like a batter who always wants runs. So to get the wicket was a nice sort of relief for me.
Keshav, I guess not the first spinner to come here and have troubles, especially if finger spinner. West Indies obviously earlier this summer had similar issues with Ross and Chase. Can you explain what it is that's difficult about coming to Australia and bowling finger spinners and tourists, and why, I guess?
Yeah, I think, look, from my past experiences and obviously coming now, I think there's good wickets here in Australia. There's no denying that. Obviously, you're not going to get as much spin as you probably used to anywhere else in the world. And the one thing you can work with is the bounce. But also sometimes when you're behind the 8 ball, it's very difficult to bowl in a certain way, and you bowl with spread fields. And then if you try and make a play, it's sort of the batter's in. So it's a give and take, but I think it's more about being consistent. Probably not being at my consistent, if I'm honest with myself, in this tour, and it's something that I really need to address going forward. Like I said, maybe it's probably less bowling and keeping my mind fresh more than anything else. But yeah, I think it's about consistency with good field sets. Probably very different fields to what you're going to expect when you go into different conditions, I would say. And fair play. I mean, the opening batters have created a good foundation for them to come play a lot more freely.
I was going to say, Keshav, how much, without putting that bowling stuff to one side, how much of it is just the Australian batters just that good in their own conditions?
Yeah, look, take nothing away from their performances throughout this test series. When they played a spin in the other game, I think they have very sound, clear plans and they stick to it, which is, as batters, what you want to do. And I think they've played it really, really well. And obviously I've dished up a few, to be fair. But I think they have very good game plans and, they stick to that and they don't come out of that.
Just a bit of a follow-up on that, Keshav. What is the challenge of bowling to Usman Khawaja like, or has been like the last 2 days? And have you felt you're bowling to a slightly different player than you have done when you've met him early in your career?
Yes, very much so. I think he's obviously come back and really worked hard. When I did play him here in 2016 and then again in South Africa, I think it was 2018, 2019 or so. You can see he's played all around the wicket, and he trusts his defence really well, and he knows his scoring opportunities. He's got really good hands. So yeah, I think he's worked really hard, and he's a different player than what he was 4 years ago against spin.
Keshav, obviously it's great when guys can get a breakthrough out there, but then what we've seen throughout this tour is Travis Head, for example, comes in and scores a run ball and kind of takes the game away from you again. How tough is it to bowl to a guy like that who kind of looks really confident but is also batting so aggressively?
Yeah, look, he's got a sound game plan. He times the ball really sweetly, probably one of the best timers right now in international cricket. And he's played very well. I think he's taken his chances as well. He's played from the first test, second test and third test. I think he's got 50s in all the test matches, if I'm not mistaken. But also it comes from the platform being set up front from the opening batters to give him the license to play. I think if you look at the Australian batting lineup, the top order is obviously those people that take the shine off the ball, play freely, and then he's got the aggressors of the middle order to come through. But having said that, he's still got to hit the ball in the right places, still leave well and still play within his shots.
Keshav, you played against England last year and now Australia. Do you think that Australia takes the game forward enough quickly enough to challenge what England's been doing at the moment? Like, how do you compare the two styles of the two teams?
Look, I think from an experience point of view, it's probably one of the more experienced batting lineups that you're going to face nowadays, the Australian batting lineup. I do believe that, like I said, they have the top order to make sure that they're creating that base and to allow that middle order to come play as free. Obviously, when Cameron Green comes back, he's also someone that can, really time the ball sweetly and take the game. And you've got Travis Head, who's been in some really good form in this last year or two. So I think it will be a good series when that does come about. But I do believe the Australian batting lineup is obviously probably one of the best in the world right now.
Cool, we're going to start to take last rounds of questions.
Rusty seemed to have a bit of a moment with the crowd there when he took that catch on the boundary. Did you know if was anything to that?
Look, I couldn't even see the ball first at one stage, and he took a brilliant catch. I think he was getting a bit of banter from the crowd over there, so he just gave it a thumbs up or a fist pump there when he took the crowd. So yeah, nothing too much into that.
Keshav, yesterday we had a bit of a discussion about the bowling loads. Yesterday, Simon Harmer only bowled 5 overs yesterday and obviously bowled a lot more today. And you obviously bowled a lot more as well today. What was the rationale behind just bringing in, giving Simon a lot more of that workload? What were those conversations like?
In terms of today?
In terms of today.
Probably put the left-handers over there, try create more opportunity. I would think. I know as soon as I took the wicket, a couple of overs after that, Dean brought Simon on because you want the ball to turn away from the bat, especially because it wasn't spinning excessively. That's probably the rationale I would think that's behind it.